And the over-the-top Billy Horschel, captain's own words, joins us now. It's great to see you, man. 8 years have passed since you tore through that FedEx Cup playoffs, but you did not make that Ryder Cup team, was already set. They could have used you, by the way. What has the wait been like to finally get that call from Davis Love III?
It's just nice that it's finally happened. I've had, pretty much for the last 8 years, I've been close to making every team, in the sense that I've had chances, whether it's be qualify on my own or play well enough at the end of the year to hopefully be picked. But to finally, check that box, that I've made an international team for the U.S., something that's I've always wanted to do. It's nice to finally to be able to, like I said, check that box.
Billy, what do you think you bring to the team? Because Davis talked about not wanting to rein in the fire and the pugnacious attitude that you're bringing, but what are you looking to bring to the first tee at Quail Hollow, and who are some of the guys on that team that you would want to partner with?
Yeah, I think Davis understands that I have a lot of energy and I'm very passionate, but I'm a different guy than I was when I was 20, playing the Walker Cup and those teams in my amateur days, and especially even early in my career. I've learned to sort of harness that passion a little bit, that energy, and use it when I need to sort of give myself a little kick in the butt, or just show how pumped I am for something I did on the golf course. I've always felt that I get along with a lot of guys. I'm a chameleon. I can sort of work in and out of groups and with players, and play with guys and figure out what they need. I want to do whatever whatever needs to be done to win, and if that means I need to be the the cheerleader of the team and be the passionate energy guy, I'll do that. If I need to sort of just sit back and let the other guys play and let them talk and handle things, I can do that as well. So I'm really just gonna be the person that whatever the team needs, I'm gonna hopefully fill that void. And when you talk about players I would love to play with, I've had a great record with Sam Burns. We played well at the Zurich Classic. We played together at QB shootout last year and finished second. I think Max Homa and I could be a great partnership. I've always admired Justin. I've always said he's one, could be a dominating force in this game. And he already is, but he could really dominate like a Roy did for so many years, and Tiger. And then, I think I could take Cameron Young and play with him. I know he's a quiet guy, really reserved, but, I know they've, history say you don't put two rookies together. And I know I'm a rookie in the sense I haven't played a team event, but I'm 35 years old. I played 13 years out on tour, going into my 14th season. So I feel very in the sense of prepared of understanding what pressure feels like and what you're going to feel and how your body changes, and I think I could help Cameron Young, and we could be a good partnership in those sense. So those are four guys off the top of my head, but if I'm able and willing to play with any of the other 7 guys on the team, whatever Davis and other assistant captains want, like I said, I'm willing to give and do whatever the team needs.
Billy, Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson in 1990 as a 42-1 underdog. Villanova beat Georgetown in 1985. What is the danger of being such a heavy favorite in sports?
I think sometimes maybe you just rest on your laurels. You don't work as hard. You don't prepare as well. I think that's what's happened possibly in those bigger upsets. But with this team, with this group of guys, I mean, very rarely do we, and I'm speaking in a general sense here, take anything for granted. I think we all understand that we've got to come out and play unbelievable golf. We got to prepare well. We just can't go show up and expect that we're going to win this President's Cup. So from being on the text chains and talking with Captain Love, I think we're all willing to prepare hard. We're all going to work hard these next couple of weeks to show up to Quail Hollow and be prepared to battle a international team that's going to give it everything they got to try and beat us.
Billy, there's been a lot of narrative about that international team and how it's been impacted by the defections to live. In any way, do you think that either the President's Cup or the US team has been diminished by that? Is this team better or worse than it would have been with, say, a Dustin Johnson, a Brooks Koepka, a Bryson DeChambeau?
I don't know. I mean, obviously those are three really good players and three major champions. Um, but I think when you look at these 12 guys, I mean, we're the 12 guys that had really solid years, really played well over the last 2 years. And, um, I don't know what DJ, Brooks, or Bryson, how well they were playing this year before they left for Live. But I just know that with the 12 guys we have on the team right now, we've had the 12 best, you take out Will Zatoris, but Kisner's had a really solid year. And then the 11 other of us have had unbelievable years and won and been really consistent over the last year and a half.
Bill, you made some very strong comments about the Live golfers being at Wentworth, where you are right now as defending champ, basically saying, why are you here? What's been the reaction on the ground, positive or negative?
It's tough. I mean, obviously, I put myself out there on a limb, and I've done that my entire career. I speak my mind, but I'm very hopefully when I do, I have brought in a lot of thought and thought about the different, perspectives and looked at it from a complete 360-degree view. I've had quite a few players and caddies and teachers and other people, thank me for speaking up for the European Tour. And listen, in no way, shape, or form am I the flag bearer for the DP World Tour. And I said that in my interview yesterday. I've been a member for the last 4 years, and I've only played maybe 4 or 6 events a year, and really only played a couple outside that aren't co-sanctioned. But I think this is an unbelievable tour. I grew up watching this tour, and I've said for the last 4 years how many times I've been infatuated with the tournaments that I want to play. That's what I've always grew up looking at, watching the Crans Montana event, beautiful scenery there, and Valderrama, and seeing the history of the Ryder Cup and watching those events, and then watching Wentworth and everything. So, I stick by my comments. I've had conversations with Lee and Ian, who I have a great relationship with. I had conversations yesterday to let them know, what I had said in my media, to let them know that I said I didn't think they should be there. And I have had conversations with Ian today. And I think the great thing with those two, and with several other Live players as well, is that we can disagree on things and not see eye to eye, but we can still be very respectful toward each other and still have a great relationship and a great friendship. And, a friendship doesn't mean you always agree on everything. You can still disagree, but still respect one another for who they are. And that's why I love Ian, Lee, and a couple other guys that, I can speak my mind and they understand, my point as I understand their point.
This isn't the first time you've made some news in Europe, Billy. You mentioned the Walker Cup back in 2007 at Royal County Down. I was there that week, and you were very kind of passionate and fiery, and to the point where it drew criticism from some other players. 15 years down the road, how have you changed in terms of being able to put a governor switch on that passion? And are you afraid that you'll get so invested in this President's Cup that it might actually come out again?
That's I just think as I've gotten older, I've learned when to, show it and when not to show it. As I said in that Walker Cup, I felt like I was the Sergio Garcia for the United States team. I grew up loving watching the Ryder Cup, and yes, as all Americans, we hated when the Europeans beat us, but I respected and I admired Sergio for the way he played in those Ryder Cups and showed those passion for his teammates and for the continental Europe. So, I'm not sure how I am going to react, because this is my first team event in so many years, and I have grown, and I'm, like I said, 35 years old, and the energy, I still have, endless amounts of energy, and I can, show it. But, I think the energy now comes out when I'm around, when the support of the crowd and the fans, and you can feel the energy and you can feed off of that. And that's when it will come out naturally and be more organic, and it won't be forced.
Billy, I was struck by what you said about, talking to Ian and Lee Westwood and guys you've known for a long time, that you can kind of agree to disagree. What about a Taylor Gooch, who is there as well and went on Twitter to question your DP World Tour bona fides, as it were, pointing out that the starts were mostly major championships and saying that, you do what's best for you, he's going to do what's best for him. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I didn't know he responded to that until someone told me today. There's my record. And as I've stated, for the last, yesterday and for a while, like, I'm not a lifetime member of the DP World Tour that's played countless events over here. I have stated I've always had an infatuation with the European Tour, and I've always tried to make efforts in the past to come over here. But due to maybe where I was in the FedEx Cup or other reasons, is why I may have not made it over there. And you know what? I mean, he said what he said, and he can stick by. That's what he wants to say. But listen, I've played one event in my career over here where I got paid, and that was an appearance last month at BMW International. But I had stated after I won this event, the BMW PGA, that I wanted to play Germany because I wanted to try and win all 3 BMW events. And I had stated in that winners press conference that I wish BMW sponsored more events because I seem to win more of the BMW events. But I've never played an event for the purse. I've never played an event for the world ranking points. Honestly, I never know what a purse is. And I don't even know what a world ranking points are for the beginning of week. So I've never chosen an event in my entire career, whether on the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour, based off purses or world ranking points. I played it because I enjoyed the courses, I enjoyed the city, or I wanted to go experience a certain part of the country. So, I can stick by those words. And I mean, if he wants to believe what I say, I don't really care. But I'd be willing to take a lie detector test. I'd fly that. I'd pass with flying colors.
Billy, when you think about the President's Cup and the kind of the passion that kind of works up during the course of the week, all the way to the Sunday singles, and the same in the Ryder Cup coming next year, do you think any of the live guys will look at that and maybe have a little note of regret that their ability to play team events for the United States or for their other countries going forward is potentially in question?
I don't know. I mean, I think, as I've stated all along, those guys made a decision that they thought was best for them. And I think when you, at least from what I can, if I was sitting in their position, I would have understood that I couldn't. There was a chance that I may not play the PGA Tour or DP World Tour anymore. And there was a possibility I may not be able to play in international teams anymore. So, I can't sit there and say, why they made the decision they did. I'm happy that they made the decision for they did, but I think personally that, maybe some of them will regret it. I don't know if they're not able to be a part of any teams, because I know some of them have had, outstanding careers and it meant a lot to them. So, but if I was sitting in their chairs, that's the way I looked at it, understanding that I may not be able to do that, and would have factored that into my decision to join Live.
Billy, I've been struck by your professional career, the journey that you're on, much like Rory McIlroy, who seems to have gained a bit of an edge being so vocal about these issues. Have these issues crystallized some things for you, maybe giving you even more to play for?
No. I mean, listen, I'm motivated to be the best golfer I can be day in and day out, and see, how great I can be, and hopefully, live up to a certain potential and talent that I know that's within me, and hopefully I can win, big tournaments and major tournaments and be part of more international teams in the future. I say unfortunate thing going on in the game of golf right now hasn't motivated me at all. And like I said, I don't fault any one of those guys for making a decision they've said. I've said that from the very beginning, and I've stayed on the same road this entire last couple of months and what I've said. So I'm more worried about trying to be the best golfer I can be and win tournaments, and that's what my main focus is. And I love the PGA Tour. I'm going to defend the PGA Tour for the rest of my career, and I've been fortunate enough to play on the DP World Tour and meet some great players and experience the DP World Tour like I've always wanted to my entire life. So, and I will stick up for that tour as well, because now we've got a partnership, a strategic alliance that, we're trying to help the DP World Tour out. So, yeah, I don't need any more added motivation.
Billy, you haven't actually played Quail Hollow that much. You obviously win the 2017 PGA Championship. I think you only played the Wells Fargo event once outside of that. Are you confident you learn the course pretty quickly these days? Or are you going to rely on any of the other guys on the team who have a little more experience there?
Yeah, I'll rely on Justin, a couple of those guys, just pick their brain a little bit. I'm very fortunate enough that when we've gone to new courses on the PGA Tour to play, I think my record shows I played pretty well. And then I got my stats guy, Mark Horton, who does an unbelievable job, and he'll give me some data on how that course is played, over the years at Wells Fargo. And, based off the way the course is going to be set up, we can talk about that. And then the team's got stats guys. So, I'm not too worried about my, playing career on that course. I haven't played it very much because, there's so many other, people I can pick their minds and get some good details on to hopefully allow me to play well on it as well.
Billy, it's always fun to chat. It's always enlightening. Best of luck in your titled events, and congratulations on making the President's Cup. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. See you guys later.